What are the legs doing in backstroke? Hi everyone, Andrew here, helping you help your swimmers get faster. And today we're going to talk about lower body propulsion in backstroke. The legs serve two key functions in backstroke when swimmers are trying to swim fast. One, they create some propulsion, and two, they can help shift the body from side to side and help swimmers with their rotation. Rotation is going to be a key part of the stroke because it allows the shoulders to recover easily and also pull more effectively. So if rotation is not happening fluidly, it's going to be a lot more difficult for swimmers to swim fast. So we'll take a look at what the legs are doing and what the kick is doing to serve those two functions. So the first thing we'll pay attention to is creating propulsion with the legs. And what I want you to notice is how the hips sag just a little bit. And what that allows swimmers to do is to bend the knee more without breaking the surface of the water with the knee. And so if you see here, right here, there's actually a pretty good surface area that's facing backwards. And that's because he can let the hips sit down a little bit and let the knee come up forward. And you can see if the foot right there is facing backwards pretty well and then getting flicked right up to the surface and right, you can see that the foot flick through right there. You get that last snap of the ankle and the last bit of propulsion. And so what's happening with the kick here is that there is a pretty significant knee bend, but then it snaps through all the way through, and it's almost like a whip that comes from the hip. And so the other thing to watch here is watch this left leg. As it recovers, it doesn't bend. It recovers straight back, so that way the hip is moving. The hip is moving the upper leg. It comes straight back, and then it whips forwards, and that's what creates the knee bending action rather than trying to consciously bend the knee. And then the knee's coming forward, and the ankle is following, and then it snaps through and whips through. So it's definitely a whipping action, and that's set up by kicking pretty much straight down with the kick. So right there, the kick straight down and then whips it back up. So it's a kick that comes from the hips. It goes through the knees, and then it finally goes through the ankles where it kind of snaps through with that finish. So propulsion here is not about just kicking through the hips or kicking through the knees. It needs to happen through all three joints, the hip, the knee, and the ankles. And it's a wave that travels down the body. And it's set up by this straight leg recovery right there. And then the hip starts moving, the knee starts moving, and then the ankle starts moving. And that's where you get that whipping action that's going to create a lot of propulsion. And what we can see here is the same thing is happening at speed. You can see there the hips are sitting down a little bit. There's that knee popping forward, and then you're going to get the whipping action. So right there, pretty solid knee bend, but you can see how much of that ankle is facing backwards, so he can kick backwards, and then he's flicking that with that ankle and that feet. And you can see the whipping action of the foot here right there. It really snaps up, but then after the kick, he's recovering that leg straight down back to the next cycle. So right there, you can see the leg recovers straight and then whips back in the other direction. So it's a huge whipping action, and this is happening. This is a 50-meter race. This is happening at very high speeds. It's not just at slow speeds. It happens at all speeds. And so swimmers have to learn how to get that whipping action and recover with the leg straight and then flow from the hip to the knee to the ankle to get a ton of propulsion. And so a key skill in backstroke kicking here. The other issue I want to address is how the backstroke kick can aid in rotation in backstroke. So if we watch this kick with the left leg here, he's going to kick up to the surface, and that's going to push his left hip down. And so it's going to help him rotate to the other side. So right here, he's rotating on his right side. He's going to kick with that left leg right there, and that's going to instantly pop him towards the other direction. And so it really helps to assist the side-to-side shift. We can see the same thing on the other body. So he's on his left side, he's pulling with the left leg, and if you watch the right leg, it's underneath here. He's kicking up, and then right at the end of the kick, that's going to push the hip down, and you can see he shifts over to the other side. And so the arms are going to do that to some extent, but if you can do the arms and the legs and the motion of the torso, it's going to be a lot easier to shift from side to side. And so again, right there, he's kicked that left leg right there. He snaps through, and the other comes to the other side. And then on the other side right there, he uses the kick on the right leg to pop the right hip down. And so when you push forward with the kick, it's going to push the hip back. And so that's why kicking helps to shift the body from side to side. And so it's a relatively simple action, but it can have really big effect. And then right there, you can see the left leg finishes the kick there, and that gets the body moving in the other direction. But it can save a lot of time, it can save a lot of energy, and it can really help for a more continuous stroke, which is going to be a much more efficient stroke. And so it's a key skill. And you'll see when swimmers have to use either a buoy or especially a band, the rhythm of the stroke, their alignment, it all sort of suffers because they don't have the kicking action to help facilitate the rotational action. So right there with the right leg, pops the hip down, gets them to the other side, and then right there, the left leg pops and gets him over to the left side. So it's a pretty simple action, and it's one that many swimmers can pick up intuitively, but for those that don't, they're really going to struggle to swim fluidly and swim efficiently. And even for the ones that sort of get it, the more they can really lock in on it and control it, the more effective they're going to be. So the legs obviously do provide propulsion, but just as importantly, they can help with the assistance of the rotation, and that's a key element of the stroke, and one that shouldn't be overlooked. So swimmers need to execute a whipping kicking action, and that can be facilitated by sitting the hips down a little bit so that they can drive the knee forward more. And it all starts with a straight leg recovery so that it sets up the reversal and the whip from the hip that goes to the knee and goes all the way to the foot, creates a lot of propulsion. And that action can be used to facilitate side-to-side rotation, which is a key function of the kick and helps create speed in backstroke. Hope that was helpful. As always, keep it simple.